Welcome, guys. Episode 2 is here.
We're waving.
Unedited. Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, we are waving at you. We have our drinks poured and ready for today's episode.
We really do.
We are feeling very fancy.
Here we go. We're going to go in again. Oh, that wasn't as fancy as last time.
That wasn't as great as our wine glasses.
That's okay, though. This is the harder stuff, so.
Take a little sip there. So today, our drink is coming to you from a fellow bride that is watching our podcast. Shout out to Jennifer.
Woo, Jennifer.
Jennifer. Today, Jennifer has recommended the limoncello lemon martinis. Is that correct?
Or is it supposed to be lemon drop martini, or is it lemon?
Oh, yeah.
So limoncello lemon drop. That's a lot. Limoncello lemon drop martini.
Nailed it. That's a lot of lemons.
It's a lot of citrus.
Sweet little Jennifer also sent us in a fun fact with today's beverage, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, I love the
deep
fun
dive
random
on
facts.
history.
Mm-hmm. Do it.
So I'm just going to read it straight as it is so that I don't botch this. All right, here we go. So according to the legend, I don't know what legend, but the legend, the lemon drop was invented in 1970s at San Francisco's Henry Africa.
Africa.
Must be the name of a bar.
Probably.
Yeah, which was the country's first fern bar.
Oh.
Do you know what a fern bar is?
I don't. Do you?
I'm guessing that it's just a bar with lots of ferns in it.
Probably not, but you know what? Let's just keep going with that.
Yeah. Anyway, this was during the sexual revolution when this drink came out. And
so it's a sexy drink.
It is. Look at it. Just look at it.
It's really sexy. If you're not watching video, just I visualize a lemon drop martini, lemon slice, just nice and refreshing.
Yeah, really classy glass.
Yeah, brought over these little martini glasses. Make some use out of them.
Yeah, finally. Anyways, this was during the sexual revolution when for the first time, single women were going to bars by themselves.
Ooh.
So that's where this drink
it's a sexy
evolved.
Sexy single woman martini.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not single, but
no,
we are sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Not
fucking
now,
sexy.
if you're watching now.
Yeah.
Well, sweatpants.
I'm literally wearing a man's sweatshirt right now. I bought on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, purposely went into the men's section and bought this sweater, but I didn't even care because I'm comfortable.
Color is worth it.
Yeah, the color is great.
Men just have better clothes anyway.
They do have so many great options.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I approve.
Yeah. Thank you.
So anyway, cheers to Jen for suggesting today's beverage. If you guys would like to make our next drink suggestion or recommendation, we do have a link. We have linked it in our show notes here. Go on to that as well as on our Instagram. I think we have a little link in our bio to it. You can just open that up, send us what you want us to drink on the next episode, and you might be picked.
Yeah, who knows? Could be the lucky one. We're not very against anything. I think the only thing that I don't drink is anything licorice. Not a big fan of any licorice anything. That's pretty much where I draw the line.
That's rough.
Yeah. Outside of that,
I'm there
though.
with you.
Yeah. Outside of that, I pretty much will drink anything. So we'll take whatever we can get.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I think we even skipped over. I'm Alicia. This is Courtney. We just dove right into the drinks. The most important part.
Like, if you're here, yes. Yes.
You might have said your name, but just to reiterate.
Yeah, I'm Courtney Colton, my lovely show host here.
Alicia D'Elia.
And we are Weddings Unedited.
Yes, well, welcome back if you joined us for episode 1. Very grateful, where we just kind of randomly talked about ourselves, get to know us a little bit of our background, what we do, being photographers, videographer over here right next to me, the talented Courtney, which is why we are bringing this podcast to life. And today we are going to dive right into what was the year that shall not be named.
Yeah.
2021. I named it. Sorry. Yeah.
We were trying not to.
Yes. Well, 2020 was obviously not a great year, but then 2021 turned into a total clusterfuck for a lot of people, but especially in the wedding industry.
It was almost too much of a year.
Right. Yeah, it was a lot. It's been 12 months. Yeah. Yes, actually, quite literally. And we were just talking about the amount of projects that we shot, the weddings, sessions, all that fun stuff. I didn't add up the weddings. I just kind of clustered everything into one, and I added up how much I shot in 2021, and it was 79 projects. So that includes weddings, elopements, sessions, and there's 52 weeks in the year, which means there was just a lot of clustered weekends that happened. Just a lot of weeks where I didn't shower very often. I mean, not much has changed at this point.
You're just keeping up with trends.
Yeah. How many did you shoot? Did you count how many weddings you shot, or did you just have everything in general lumped up?
I need to sit down and look at it, because when I use HoneyBook, and it shows you the inactive ones. Well, not the inactive, but the completed, as well as the ones coming up. So I need to see, because right now it says something ridiculous in the 70s or 80s, but that is accounting for things I'm editing as well as what's coming next year. So I need to look at that.
I'm thinking off the top of my head what that even says for me right now. I'm looking at my phone. Yeah, right now I think I have 63 active projects going on currently,
which anxiety.
HoneyBook is a platform that a lot of service-based industry people use, especially photographers, videographers, to send out contracts, invoices, whatnot. It's a lot of fun. I guess if it's fun, it's not really fun for me, but it keeps me organized, so that's nice.
It's all in one spot.
Yes, and you literally have these numbers right in front of you, and I'm looking down at my phone. Currently 63 projects, which is basically adding up, the weddings and everything that I have going on where I'm still working on their photos, and into next year with everything that I have booked, because when this is airing, this is going to air in January. Woo, 2022.
It's coming.
And I will have opened up my books by then, so that number is probably going to
skyrocket.
Yes, I hope not skyrocket, but go up.
No, it's going up.
Yeah.
Prepare yourselves. Mine says 61.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Active. So that's, I don't know. Does it do the inquiry follow-up?
Listen, I'm the worst at getting that situated. The inquiry whole situation within HoneyBook, I'm still setting that part up. I have to manually go in if I remember to, or if my assistant remembers to, or helps me out with that. That's the only time it ever happens, which is rare. It's just like keeping track manually, basically, which sounds
a lot. Mine is all in here. You really should get your shit together. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it says 18 planning, 11 editing, 20 completed. But the completed ones, some of those, like the photo portion is completed, but I haven't completed the video portion.
Right. Yeah. You just take on a lot between photo and video. I can't imagine doing.
What was I thinking?
I really don't know. I mean, bless your soul for taking on all of that, and I'm sure because for your packages you offer discount rates for booking them together.
Yeah, and that also gives people the ability to have a consistent look. Your photos and video.
Yeah.
It's still work in progress, but trying to have that same kind of appearance versus two different shooting styles. So that's where we came up with the idea of offering video.
It's good. It's good because not everyone. I just do photography. I don't offer video. I love video. I actually took video production all throughout high school, and I loved it very much. I would love to get back into it, but I mean, once again, it's just one of those extra things I would love to do. I just don't have time for it because it's its own entity, its own beast, its own learning curve. So until that happens, I'm just going to stick to the stills.
Well, you're doing lovely.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying.
I'll just follow you around with a video camera.
Yeah, that's all right.
We'll make a show.
Can't promise you'll have anything great coming out of it, but
I mean, have you heard yourself talk?
Lots of faces and dance moves and whatnot directed towards that camera specifically, but that would most likely be it.
Is honestly all I care about.
So 2021 again. If you just had a word to describe 2021, what would it have been? What would it be?
It would be. It's 2 words.
I'm afraid.
It's clusterfuck.
Yes.
Which I feel like you would agree with.
I 100% agree. Just crazy, insane. There's a lot of words that are very similar I would use to describe this past year. It affected us in a lot of different ways. In some ways, it affected the one side of the industry where us as vendors. It affected us in ways that our schedules were just jam-packed, as we were talking about. But it affected, other vendors in a sense of like florists. There was a lot of flower shortages that happened this year, supplies that were shorted because of still leaking over from the COVID situation. There were just a lot of shortages with a lot of products out there. So it just turned into
stuck on shipping containers.
Yeah, I guess
flowers or
something. People couldn't get their flowers out, and so they were a lot more limited. And I mean, I'd love to bring on a florist and talk to them about that, but I just know off the top of my head that's definitely one of the main industries that was super affected by that. All the florists that I worked with this past year really knocked it out of the park. You wouldn't even be able to tell that there were shortages. Any other weddings that I really saw, you wouldn't be able to tell, but behind the scenes, it's craziness. And I think that's where the grace is for us, is like there's so much going on behind the scenes. And then some of us like to show that a little bit more than others, but yeah, there's just a lot going on behind the scenes you don't really see. And then the end product happens and you're like, wow, that looks great. Like you wouldn't have any idea.
Well, I'd say the majority of the work is behind the scenes
Other than the wedding day itself.
Yeah,
behind the scenes.
But in the vendor, like photographers, videographers, florists, and planners, all of our work is behind the scenes.
Yeah.
To make it come together. And then the day of would be, day of coordinator, the DJ, and the caterer. I mean, the caterer probably has some behind the scenes, like food prep, but it doesn't go on weeks and weeks like the rest of us.
I mean, it could. You're going through the menu stuff. I get that. But yes, preparing and making sure you have everything you need for that too is, I'm sure maybe they were affected too. Yeah. I'm sure there was just so many different things that happened this year to a lot of different vendors. And, the shortages, the way that everything kind of clustered together. What happened with me, and I'm sure this happened to a lot of other people as well, is that...
Definitely happened to me.
Right. So there's a combination of what basically happened last year was there were obviously a lot of rescheduled weddings that were supposed to take place in 2020 that got pushed into past year of 2021. And on top of that, in addition to, were the other couples who waited to book their wedding until 2021 to avoid...
Well, because they didn't know what the hell was happening.
No one knows. Still to this day, no one really knows, like with all the variants still happening.
Can I have a wedding? Can I not?
Right. So, going through the planning process while trying to pivot around COVID was something that a lot of couples had to deal with. And so there was a lot of reschedules, new schedulings on top of those. And so there were a lot of triple header wedding weekends, double header wedding weekends for a lot of us vendors, which is exhausting in itself. But then on top of that, depending on which vendor and what they're doing before, all the work that goes in and or after, for us, it's kind of like an A to Z situation with photography and videography. It starts day one and doesn't end until we deliver the final product of the photos or the video. So whenever that does happen.
Yeah.
And so that's where, for me, that's where it affected my clients. My turnaround times ended up taking a bit longer just because it took on so much. Trying to please everyone.
Same.
Trying not to say no to everyone because, everyone's just so excited.
Yeah. Well, I was excited too.
Yeah. Of course. So I definitely had a mid 2020 breakdown where I sobbed for a straight hour.
Because you thought your life was over?
Because I was like, am I going to have to find another job for now? Obviously COVID wasn't going to be forever, but who knew how long it was going to last for, if it was going to trickle into 2021, if it was going to mean just less work. I'm lucky in a sense where I have my husband who can help provide to help put food on the table when I'm not working, but not everyone's in that situation. So I'm sure I know I wasn't alone feeling that way.
Oh, definitely. I think people are still feeling that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where people just have to keep that in mind, give people a little bit of grace, because between that year and then this year's literally the opposite. I cried a lot this year because there was just so much going on. Not that I don't feel lucky that it's happening, but there was definitely moments where I just felt super overwhelmed. I don't know about you, if you had any of these, specific moments of just literally breaking down, can't even get out of bed just because my to-do list is beyond anything I can even imagine at this point.
That I don't know where to start.
Exactly.
That was 100% me. And then I would just start cleaning the house because I'm like, all right, if the house is clean, I'll at least feel like I can do something next on the list. And then you would sit down, okay, next I'm tackling emails. And then emails would be 4 hours long.
They turn into a lot longer than anticipate. For me, I either will do emails in the morning or I'll just feel really creative and want to start editing because you know how it is when you get into that mode, just want to edit and get that over with. And then I'm like, okay, it's 5 p.m. I should get into my emails, finally.
Yeah.
Especially in the winter months. Especially in the winter months when the sun is setting, you're like, oh, wait, it's nighttime now. So got to get some admin stuff done. When do you like to edit?
I usually in the morning. I get this weird, energy surge like you in the morning where I just feel creative once I've settled in and I can just sit there for hours. And then I like to get up midday and try and look away from the computer for a bit. So I'll take Maya for a walk or hop on the old Peloton or something like that just to not be staring at a screen for 17 hours. And then I get a second wave. I usually try and spend time in the afternoon/evening with Will. So when he gets home from work, usually around 3, I'll try and hang out with him for a little bit. We'll do dinner, and then I'll get back into editing at like 8.
Wow.
8 to 10
It's
sometimes.
so this is generally what happens?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's nice. My days are all different. They're literally
Yeah.
one day looks so different compared to the next.
Yeah, I have to feel like I'm getting up to clock in and go, otherwise I'll do nothing.
I think that's where it's like the opposite for me.
Yeah.
Like I hate the corporate world, corporate life, like working a 9 to 5. Like I had those kind of jobs before getting into this. I literally worked at like a law firm, an investment banking firm, like all these places that I like
That is so
clearly
weird.
don't belong. And I would have to show up from like 8:30 a.m. to like 5:30 p.m. or whatever the hours were specifically for each job that I did. But I just remember being so miserable and having to stick to a specific time for other people was something that I just didn't love. So having the freedom to create my own, schedule for the day is something that I feel like is great because as a creative, for me personally, especially, I have my moments where I'm feeling super creative and then there's moments where I'm not and I have to like take a step back and redirect that onto something else, whether it be like emails, admin work, or taking a break, taking the dog out for a walk.
Yeah.
I think that's what's important
Enjoying
though,
your
is
own life.
doing what works best for you, listening to your own body, your own brain,
Right? That ticker up there.
the little thing that helps you get along, get through the day,
That little guy.
gets you through talking
Yeah.
to whoever. So I would say, 2021, there were, I'm sure, a lot of highlights, a lot of lowlights for people. What was your highlight for the last year?
My highlight would be that I went full-time
That's
in
right.
photography.
Woo,
Took the
woo.
plunge. It kind of was a double-edged sword for the year to do it. Doing it in 2021, I didn't expect it to be as crazy busy as it was.
I don't think anyone really did until they
No.
looked at their calendars and like they're just hoping for the best.
Yeah, and being that it was my first full-time year, I kind of feel like I almost said yes to more things because I thought I had more time. So I was going from part-time to full-time, so I was like, oh, obviously, why couldn't I do this?
Yeah.
But that was a mistake. I can't do that.
As we have learned.
Yeah, and as Alicia mentioned earlier, just all those double-header weddings, and I didn't take on any triple-header. I don't know that I ever would, because I would probably die. And a triple-header weekend, for those that don't know, is
Or double or triple, whatever.
is a wedding, back-to-back wedding. So you shoot or have a wedding on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or
Just back to back.
Yeah, one right after the next. No downtime, no recovery between them.
Yeah, you could try to get at least a few hours of sleep depending on how far the locations are.
Yeah.
The thing with weddings out here in Colorado, drive around quite literally everywhere. I think I drove like
We should
something
calculate
like
the mileage.
10 to 12,000 miles just this past like
Oh, I believe
April
it.
through October.
Yeah, because you bought a new car, so it's probably pretty easy for you to tell.
Keep track of. Oh yeah, well now we're doing the mileage tracker thing
Yeah.
too, which is a whole great thing to do when you are working for yourself and
Yeah.
trying to keep track of that, and you do have to drive everywhere. But yeah, drove around you literally just everywhere, and I think that's what it is. It was a double header. I always tangle this up. Double header wedding weekend where I had to shoot a wedding out in Carbondale and then the next day out in Denver. And so that is not super extreme,
That was
but
poor planning.
on my end.
I have a similar one that Will likes to bring up to anyone and everyone that will listen so he can complain. But it was a 4th of July weekend. I booked us a wedding on July 3rd in Lyons, Colorado. And we were there till about 9 or 10. And then we had a elopement on July 4th at 6 a.m.
I was going to
They
say,
wanted
I
do
thought
a
it was sunrise.
Yeah, so, which when I booked it, I didn't think anything of it. But then when you sit down and think about the logistics, that meant that Will and I were driving from Lyons, Colorado to Evergreen at 10 o'clock at night, which was about an hour and a half drive. So we got there, just before midnight, and then hunkered down to sleep for a good 3-4 hours.
At least you had the van.
Yeah, we did have the van. So we actually parked in the Walmart parking lot and slept there up in Evergreen. So shout out Walmart Evergreen for letting us sleep there. And Will, he does not fall asleep quickly. My head, the second it hits the pillow, I'm out.
Oh, that's nice. I'm like Will.
Yeah, he's got a whole process. All these things that he has to do and steps to fall asleep. So he barely slept before we had to be up for sunrise for an elopement. So he was a real happy camper. So lesson learned there. I will find out my logistics before booking back-to-back weddings, I guess.
Yeah.
But sometimes people don't know where they want to get married yet, especially for elopements.
Right, but then it's just a matter of figuring out the dates. If you know you're having a wedding or whatever the day before, then maybe don't book something day after. Or well, this is
Don't jump on Will's side.
Exactly. Well, this is where we can also touch maybe on like that lesson learned for 2021, which is boundaries. And boundaries in the sense of, you know, creating that line between the work life and personal life, and that, you know, takes into account scheduling and making sure that your calendar isn't overwhelmed with so many different projects, weddings, whatever it is that you're shooting. And, you know, from the client perspective, obviously to them, the only thing that matters to them is their wedding, their day. And that's as it should be.
Yep.
As it should be. And so that's always in the back of our minds whenever we're taking care of anybody and any couple. It's always the couple, this is their day, you know, 100% like got to be into it. So it's just one of those situations where this past year, like you were just saying, these double header wedding weekends, it's like putting an on and off switch, like flipping it on and turning it off. And like you show up to the wedding and you just on. It's all about the energy and your vibe. And because people feed off of that, we're humans. Yeah. If you show up and you're just exhausted the next day and you're just kind of lumping around and you're like photographing the bride and, you know, you're just there. You're just there and you're not helping the situation. No. If anything, you're hindering. For me, I feed off energy.
Same.
A lot. So if I'm getting married and I'm like with my girls and getting dressed and drinking champagne and we're having a great time, and the photographer, whoever shows up and they're just like a lump on a log, like, okay, move over here and do that. And then like, God, get out of here. Like the worst. Yeah. So it's showing up. And so creating those boundaries will really help, I feel like. This is something we had asked some other vendors. Like this is generally speaking, not just us, but a lot of vendors that in 2021, the number one lesson learned is to set more boundaries. So when, you know, if you're someone who's a client of one of ours, or if you're a couple, whoever you are, that's maybe not a wedding vendor, but you're interested in weddings, whether you're getting married soon or hopefully someday, which we'll keep our fingers crossed for you.
I've been there.
Just understand that if we say no, don't take it personally.
It's not you.
It's not you, but a lot of times it's us, whether we have something specifically booked on that one day, or like me in 2022, moving forward 2023, I'm not doing a double header wedding weekend. I'm going into my mid-30s. Yeah. Mama doesn't need to be working 2-3 weddings in one weekend. There's only so much I can handle. So I'm blocking off like the day before and the day after. Good. A full like 8-hour wedding day.
Yeah. Well, the wedding hangover is real.
Yes. It's felt by all of us.
All of us.
All of us vendors.
It's like a Mack truck hits you and you're down for the count.
If you try to reach out to a wedding vendor the day after they shoot or work a wedding, I should say, you know, they're barely alive. Hopefully, you know, they will answer a text 6 hours later.
Just checking to make sure you're alive. You know what? Reach out to your vendors the next day to just make sure they're alive.
If not even, just literally, are you okay?
Yeah. Thank you. Are you okay? Yes, is all you'll get back. Yeah, you'll know we're alive.
Because the wedding hangover, it does feel like it hits you like a truck. It's not just like being hungover when you're in your mid-30s and having too many drinks in the afternoon, like what happens to me. It's next level of like literally can't even really get up out of bed.
The flu.
Yeah, you feel sick.
Body aches and just totally drained.
Because it's a lot of mental and physical work that goes into the day, especially for any vendor, for photographers and videographers. And we have to be on top of every second of the day because that's what we're there to do.
Crouching around.
Oh yeah, Byron was telling me last night, he was like, I'm always impressed when I see you like lunging and squatting and doing all these things at weddings, because you know when he helps me shoot weddings, sometimes he's like just in the background if it's like family photos.
That flexible.
He's like, well, I tell him wedding days are like my workouts. Yeah. So it's like going to the gym.
6 times a year. No.
Shooting an engagement session is literally a workout, especially out here in Colorado, and you got to like walk up the side of a mountain to get to a specific spot or something.
Carrying 30 pounds of gear and the bride's train and her veil and
everything else in between. Yeah. Shoes, all the stuff, because she can't wear her heels going up the hill. Yeah. Yes. So boundaries is where things are being set for a lot of vendors going forward. 2021 was one of those years that was unfortunate. It was just like a lesson learned in that scenario, where I just had a lot of very late nights working, answering emails or whatever the situation may be. And so it's like highlight for me is just not dying this past year, surviving.
That is a big highlight.
I think so.
Everyone, let's just give a silent applause for Alicia. She didn't die this year.
Whoop, whoop. Did not die.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I'm around. I want to say
close.
thriving. I'm not thriving quite yet. I feel like give it till like April of 2022 and I'll probably be thriving again. That's enough time to sleep for like 2 months straight.
For sure.
Because little did I know the end of 2021 was supposed to be a little time off, but it didn't happen.
No,
so it's just been, but especially because it's been playing catch up with editing. So, excuse me. But yeah, just, surviving. And then I would say a low, like, we'll go into the low lights, not to get too depressing, but like a low light of this past year. Low light for me was not spending enough time with Byron.
That is a pretty low.
Yeah, when you can't even hang out with your husband.
Yeah, he's literally your other half. He's the only other one you got with you.
Yeah, the only one who will put up with me.
Right, well, that too. He feeds you. He provides beverages for you.
Listen, he stepped his game up
We should
this
get him
year.
a great Christmas gift.
Oh, he said he already bought me something, and I'm like, babe, I don't have
You're like, me
anything
too.
for you.
Totally got you something. So
Yeah, totally
good.
got. I'm like, I take off my towel after taking a shower. I'm like, Merry Christmas.
Merry. Shake it out, girl.
I just let it air out.
Yeah, that was your Christmas present.
Yeah, but yeah, the low light was not spending a lot of time with him. We didn't have very many date nights. We're the type of couple who will literally like to get dressed up and go get like a nice cocktail somewhere. Like downtown Denver, there's Cooper Lounge. It's really great if you live in this area or if you're not from here and you visit. Highly recommend Cooper Lounge. They got the fancy cocktails and
Like
super
the mixologists.
Yeah, they're all mixologists.
Okay.
They have some drinks that's like at the table. They'll make your drink for you.
Love that.
Sometimes light it on fire. Just so entertaining.
I can't handle that.
Yeah, but that's great for a date night. We'll do that and do dinner. And I think we did that maybe like once or twice this year.
So you're going to owe him a few date nights this year.
Yeah, so in 2022, it's going to be March-ish around, like, that's a good month to get that in.
Maybe you can just start scheduling once a month a date night with Byron, and no matter what comes along, you're going.
Right, well, at least especially for us if we have our schedules blocked off on certain days.
And you said no, and you put boundaries in place.
Yeah, exactly.
Your date nights will happen.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking forward to. Low light turning into a highlight for 2022. What about you?
My low light was definitely the learning curve that was slapped in my face with editing and scheduling.
Yeah, but the thing is like, I've been doing this for 7 years and it still slapped me in the face.
That is not encouraging. I feel like a dead fish just whipped across
But also,
my face.
2021 didn't happen until 2021.
Yeah, that's true. When we were already in it.
Yeah.
When we had already said yes to these things. But yes, that would be my low light. And also just not knowing exactly my day-to-day plan was another one. I kind of just woke up trying to figure out, what am I going to do today?
Oh, I need to figure that out.
What makes sense to do it
Like coming here today to record this podcast is like the most I have scheduled out this week.
Look at us go.
So thank you for helping me getting my life
I'm here for
organized.
you.
I appreciate that.
I'll make you a calendar.
I know. Well, so that's the thing is Byron is he's very type A. I use I think it's my left side is creative, right?
Well,
or is
I
it right?
have no idea.
I think it's left side is creative. Whichever side of the brain is creative, that's what I'm using. The other side is Byron, and he uses his side. And he stepped his game up, like I said. He's buying food, cooking dinner, doing all the things, keeping me on track. Like, hey, babe, you should probably take a shower. It's been a couple days.
You're
like
smelling a little ripe.
Something, anything, really, to help.
That's his job.
He's an accountant full time. So outside of just helping me shoot weddings and do my accounting for my business, he's actually working.
He's a healthcare aide.
He's an aide in every sort of way. I'd be dead on the side of the road if I'd be like starving because I just wouldn't feed myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, that's the situation. It's what it is.
Yep. Well, here we are. We made it.
Exactly. So boundaries,
1 week to go.
Time management is going to be necessary 2022 to progress forward because this year is going to be a crazy year again for weddings. So be prepared, vendors, clients, anybody else who's listening. It's going to be another wild ride. And if you didn't feel it last year, you're probably going to feel it this year.
Yep. But hopefully everyone's a little more prepared and a little more optimistic this year.
Yeah. Well, I was saying just because like if you're a vendor who maybe felt a little left out this last year where you maybe felt like you didn't have as much going on, because it did get to a certain point where like there was only so much that we could all take on. So we had to push it off, not push it off on other people, but recommend other people. And so especially if you're just starting out, like, you know, maybe last year wasn't as crazy, but 2022 is supposed to be what, is as busy?
It's supposed to be, here, I have it here, the most weddings since 1984.
Which we were like, what the hell happened in 1984?
I'm very upset by this statement. I want to know, I'm all for it, and I have tried to do some research to figure out as much as I can, like what happened in 1983 to cause this wedding boom in 84.
So we did talk to my mom, Susan.
Susan.
You know, we need to bring Susan up into every episode because she would greatly appreciate it. She listened to the first episode and she's all about it. So
love you, Susan.
Another shout out to Susan. So actually her and Michael, my dad, got married in 1984. They were a part of that boom, which I feel like anytime before 2006, you wouldn't really know what the hell is even going on. Like in the wedding industry, like social media really opened up the doors to allowing people in to see how this industry works, what's going on. People weren't really like writing news articles about this stuff back in the day, I'd imagine. I mean, they probably did.
Back in the day when they had hour-and-a-half long wedding videos.
I mean, my parents got married. I don't know. I'm sure my parents have a full video of their Catholic ceremony.
It's on a VHS somewhere in the house.
Yeah, somewhere.
It says, please be kind, rewind on it.
Yep, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think what Susan mentioned was that she was the end of the baby boomers.
That makes sense.
So maybe there was just like a plethora of people who were like around. I think she was 20 when she got married, which I think back then was the average age. Yeah. And nowadays I feel like a lot of my clients are creeping into like the higher like 20s, early 30s.
Same. Late 20s, early 30s. Got your career in place. Everyone's just waiting a little bit longer to find that special person.
Yeah.
Which I think makes more sense.
They're taking their time and they're not doing the traditional route. A lot of times there's still couples who have their parents involved with helping pay things, but now a lot of it's which is nice, but now it's being a little bit more independent. People are doing it on their own and, because they have their careers. They don't need the help. They're doing because they do want to do what they want,
Which, segue, we should definitely do a podcast episode all about traditions and like myths and where traditions came from. I think that'd be pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. Because like, a lot of times, where did cake cutting come from? Where did the garter toss? Like all of that.
All of those awkward moments.
I think we should. But I did look up on the knot.com. Shout out to the Knot. That there will be an estimated 2.5 million weddings in 2022.
Wow.
And according to the weddingreport.com, which is a marketing research firm, to put it into context for you guys, there's normally 2.1 million weddings per year. So the surge is what? Almost another million more? 500,000 more? I'm not great at math, but you get it.
That's what I had Byron for.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just because of all the cancellations, reschedules.
It's still trickling. Yep. I think the trickle effect is going to be felt for the next at least couple years, 2022, 2023. It's going to be felt for the next couple years at least. And it also gets people thinking about like planning more ahead now.
Yeah.
Because I guess this year and in 2023, there's going to be a lot of like weekday weddings.
Yeah, Monday weddings are becoming really popular, which I don't hate. It gives you an excuse for a 3-day weekend.
Really, for me, it doesn't matter what day of the week. Like,
You're here for
it doesn't matter.
I saw that wedding venues are the most booked out in the wedding
That makes sense.
industry.
Well, it's one of the first things you book as a couple for your wedding. Like, where are you going to get married? That should be figured out first. Because once you have that landed and booked, then you can move forward with what other vendors are important to you. Yeah,
it said that most wedding venues were booked to the end of 2023. So definitely planning ahead. Reaching out to, if you have your eye on someone that you just can't envision your wedding without, whether it be there's a rock star planner that you're like, I need her or him during my day.
Planners are just a godsend.
They really are. I don't know how people have weddings without them, but definitely reach out to them beforehand Even if you think it's too early, it's never too early.
You can never. So for me personally, like 2021, I didn't open up my 2023 books until, I'm like all over the place. I had people reaching out in 2021 about 2023 weddings.
Same.
And I didn't open up my books for 2023 until January 1st.
Yep, I'm the same way. I can't.
Because you have to block off as vendors.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's a personal choice. For me, it was more so like I'm going to try to go to Europe in 2023. And so clearly I need to take off at least 2 or 3 weeks
Yeah.
to
Enjoy yourself.
to travel, go out there and do that.
Yeah.
So that was, and that kind of stuff, it has to be planned out way ahead of time. And it's like, it is unfortunate because obviously couples are trying to plan ahead of time and get their favorite vendors booked as soon as possible so they can like be done with it, not where it's like another thing checked off the list. They completely understand that. But then on the other side of things, it's like, it's not helping, but it's also, it's an association with us setting up boundaries for ourselves, like knowing what we want to do, what we learned from the prior years, what we want to do moving forward. Like I know as the years go on, I'm going to take on less weddings because they're a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And so as the years progress, I'm going to take on less and less large weddings and see where my career takes me several years down the road. But that's just the direction that I'm going personally.
Your plan for now.
So it's just, it looks different for a lot of different vendors and to why they are opening their books or closing them or whatever the situation may be.
I think it's just, for me, I only try and keep my books open for a year ahead of time.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Otherwise,
exactly.
I can't keep track. And
Yeah.
so I'm the same as you. January 1, books are open for 2023.
Yeah, both of our books. Well,
look
not
at
trying to
us.
self-advertise,
Yeah.
but I guess recording
a
this
lot of-
or a little bit earlier than that, so we haven't even quite opened them up yet. But we'll
Yeah,
see what that
it was
looks like when the
days
time
away,
comes.
Days away, but it's just a mental thing for me.
Absolutely.
I can't possibly give my all to a bride in 2024 when I haven't even completed my 2023.
Yeah, so I have-
just want to give you all of my energy,
Mm-hmm.
and if you reach out to me a year, 2 years ahead of time, you're not going to get that.
It's just hard to figure it out. So exactly, if you are someone who's not a vendor and you are like scratching your head, like, well, they're telling us to reach out as soon as possible, but then some of them aren't available or they're just not like booking yet, then that's just the reason why, because that's how far in advance we need to schedule our lives out.
Yep.
Personally, not just for work, but it goes into saying that personally you have to schedule out all of that stuff too. So it's just making sure we're setting up enough time for us to be able to fully commit to our clients. Because always bringing it back to the boundaries thing, it's full circle affects the clients. At the end of the day, we always want to make sure our clients are happy, satisfied, whatever that looks like for them.
Get your vision.
Yeah, whoever the vendor is and whatever they're doing, they just want to make sure the client's taken care of. And it's hard to put 100% into your work when you're not feeling 100% personally.
Yeah.
Because that is your work. When you're an entrepreneur, you are your
Yeah.
job. You are who you are. So like that's what you're selling to people. And it's, if you can't be 100% on board the entire time, then you feel like you're letting someone down.
Yep.
So
I think I'm just going to throw this back out there. That was another one of my lowlights. I think I feel like I'm talking like hair when we say highlights and lowlights.
Oh,
But my low point.
true. I guess we could say low point, high point.
Yeah.
I don't think of the highlights and lowlights like that just
Yeah.
because I don't
I mean,
ever
I
do
get my
anything
hair
with my
done.
hair.
Yeah.
I'm one of those women who literally like gets my hair cut once a year.
Well, it looks very healthy.
And low maintenance
Yeah.
as much as possible.
It looks great. I love it.
Thank
But
you.
I get highlights. And
I mean, it's
lowlights.
beautiful, too.
Thank you. Well, not today.
The only reason I don't do it is because you have to keep going back in.
You really do.
The only reason I don't.
Yeah. But my low light was just
Low point.
low point. My low point is just, circling back to exactly what you were just saying, and it just ran away from my brain. Literally gone, lost.
Welcome.
Well, moving on. That was fun.
No, you're talking about your low light, your low point.
Yeah, but I can't remember what it was.
Oh, well, we were talking about boundaries, just like the low point of like maybe not having enough time or something.
You know, it's escaping.
It's just all wrapped up into that.
Yeah, there's too much going on in this
Yeah.
house today.
So yeah, weddings in 2022, 2023 are going to be still, I'm sure, chaos, but a little bit maybe more planned out on everyone's end.
Mm-hmm.
So giving us grace as vendors is something that we can, really the only thing we can ask for moving forward is just giving us grace.
The best gift you can give us.
Yeah, honestly, like my clients are for 2021 were all amazing, and a lot of them did have to wait a bit longer than originally thought for like their photos, just because
Same with mine.
there's a
Like,
lot
they
of
were
work that goes
such
into it.
rock
So
stars.
yeah,
And everyone was very kind, and they
And that's really
I
just
know
all we
you're
can ask for.
Yeah, and I know you're working as hard as you can, and I would rather you put your all into my photos than just hurry up to get them out to me.
Yeah. Quality over quantity.
I appreciated that a lot.
Yep,
And I
absolutely.
Hope, yeah.
So going forward, hopefully people will just continue the grace.
Yeah.
A little bit of grace, even if it's not a whole lot, just a little bit would be wonderful.
A little bit of understanding we're human at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Not
As
robots
you are.
working
Yeah. And
24/7,
if you
taking
just-
some days off here and there, trying to. I think that's where it's like it played in where
That's
I
where
didn't
we're
see
gonna
Byron a
schedule
lot.
them.
I didn't take off. I think I took off like one day a month on average was like
That's not-
from between like April and like October.
At least you got that. I know some people that didn't do that.
Yeah. And that was mostly just because I literally couldn't. Like I just had to stay in bed.
My day off is in bed.
Write it off. Write my breakfast off being brought to me by Byron. So I was going to say, I think that probably wraps up most of what we were going to talk about for 2021.
Yeah.
2022 is going to look, like we said, in our minds, very similarly. Being busy.
It's going to be magical.
It's going to be great, though. I think having a little bit more structure this year is going to be super helpful for a lot of us. We're going to keep our heads on a little bit more straight.
Yeah, for the clients and everyone involved, I think.
Everyone's sake.
It'll be a better year.
Absolutely.
Despite it being so much busier. But I know
Yeah.
people still have so many dates open. Will and I still do. So for 2022, we're not totally shut down and closed. So if you're feeling
There's still
like,
people, booking.
There's still people booking. So if you're feeling like it's hopeless to plan your wedding this year, it's not.
And especially with elopements and smaller gatherings, those are understandably done a little bit sooner than the full large weddings with being scheduled out 2 years in advance. Elopements are on average scheduled out, like 4
Yeah, a
to
couple
6 months in advance.
Right.
It looks different for everyone. That's the idea of elopements, is going the non-traditional route, and which is great. So there's still opportunities for people to book, which is what I'm still doing for 2022, or elopements and sessions, the smaller stuff. So it's still an opportunity.
Squeezing it in somewhere.
Trying.
Yeah.
But let's get into the 2 truths and 1 lie to wrap this up,
I think
because
it's time.
I think this is what we're going to do for our guests as well. Let's do a little
Yeah.
fun game, whatever it might be, but something
Let's do
to mix it up a little bit and learn something new.
2 truths and a lie, photographer edition. Are we ready?
I'm going to try.
You're gonna start.
Oh, I'm starting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was about to be like, the first whatever.
My first truth is
So I shot an 80+ guest wedding where the caterer canceled last minute.
okay.
One of my first engagement sessions out here in Colorado ended up with me in the back of a cop car.
Oh, you rebel.
Or I had the opportunity to photograph an elopement in Alaska this past summer.
Oh my God, that is a dream of mine. Will and I were trying this year. We were supposed to take our van up to Alaska.
That's right.
But freaking Canada.
The
refused
Canadians,
to
once
let us
again,
in.
just letting you down.
Yeah, so hopefully we're
They've
trying
got a
to
lot
plan
to make up for.
next year, going up to Alaska. But I'm going to call you out on your bullshit, and you did not go to Alaska.
I so wish I did.
Yeah.
So wish I did, because that was it still is a dream of mine to go out to Alaska and shoot an elopement and do all that.
Canoe
'Cause
around.
if anyone is interested, you let me know.
Take me with you.
Also, but it's one of those things we do have to plan
Yeah.
accordingly.
You do.
Very much so. So
It's a long distance.
And that's the thing. Elopements are supposed to be non-traditional, small, like low key, but it still requires a lot of planning. But I wanted to touch on the 2 truths. The 80+ guest wedding where the caterer canceled last minute. That definitely happened.
Yeah, that's fucking rude.
That was actually the one in Carbondale where like the next day I had to drive to Denver and deal with shooting a wedding that next day. So of course that would happen.
Yeah.
True 2021 form. But yeah, so as soon as the ceremony started, they officially canceled by sending the planner an email. Obviously, we knew what was going on before then.
Yeah.
Still, like at that point, we were already trying to pivot. I say we, the planners were great, trying to like find a replacement. Ended up working out where a local restaurant nearby was able to cater, but it was like
God.
3 hours after the ceremony, and it was just buffet style as opposed to being plated
Sit
food.
down.
And Byron and I were bussing tables and cleaning up after people because the catering company was also supposed to provide servers and everything else in between. So and it wasn't just Byron and I, it was the videographer that day. Planners were very hands-on. Like, thank God for the team that day, because we pulled together and
You guys
definitely
are a rock star catering company.
oh my God, well, I won't go as far as that, but serving, because I served tables for 10 years, so
Yeah.
it was very like second
Like riding a
nature.
bike.
exactly, get back on.
Yeah.
And then the other one was that my first engagement session out here in Colorado, I shot at the Rocky Mountain National Park and driving back with a couple in their car who I knew from Florida, actually. Luckily, so like I actually knew them. We were just hanging out there and back, met up with them at their apartment. So when we were driving back in their car, we were driving in between like Lyons and Boulder area on like the foothills. And for anyone who's not aware of where the situation, like where this road is, it's basically just a two-way, well, one way each way, 2-lane road, I guess is what you would call it, one way each way, whatever. But like right up against the mountains, and the sun had already just dipped. So it was that time of day when deer and everything were out. And we were driving, and the speed limit on that road is like 60 miles an hour.
For where this is
No
going.
street lights. We were driving, the sun had already dipped, and it was still a little light out, but we was driving 65 miles an hour, and this deer, and the deer out here in Colorado are no joke. They
will mess you up.
They're huge,
Yeah.
especially as a girl coming from Florida. Like, these animals out here, I get it. The winters are cold. They need to be, like, beefy. So this beefy deer runs right in front of the car we're driving.
This beefcake deer.
This beefcake deer just runs right in front. It was tragic. So we were in the car. It hit the deer. We were all okay. Luckily, didn't veer off. I think that's what's most dangerous.
Yeah.
Is to not veer off.
Stay steady.
Yep. And so hit the deer. Unfortunately, the deer didn't make it. Some nice motorcyclists, not just like bicyclists. No.
Bike made out of freaking, I don't even know what.
No.
Diamonds?
Right. So this group of people came by and helped move the carcass off the road because it was literally blocking
I hate
people.
that word so much.
I do too, but it was a dead animal. It's like so depressing. So moving on from that, because that's just depressing in itself. But a state trooper had come by and saw what happened because the car was totaled.
Yeah.
On the side of the road. We couldn't go anywhere.
There's no way to avoid that.
So the state trooper came up. He's like, "Hey, you need help?" So the girl and I jumped into the back of his car.
We do.
Yeah, so the guy stayed with, because it's pitch black and right. There's nowhere to go. There's no room on each side of the road. So you have to literally like,
dead.
yeah, and people driving so fast. So the guy was like, "You should get in this car. He can stay here like on the other side of your vehicle and wait for the tow truck to come. I can take you ladies back into town." And we're like, "Yeah, sure." And like we go into the back of the car.
Just bail on him. You're like,
yeah, we bailed on him.
Fuck you. Good night.
He was fine with it.
Yeah.
We ended up in the back of the car. There was literally like a shotgun, like
On the back of the seat.
and those in the middle console area,
yeah.
just like set up for the cop to like use if he like needed
So
to.
you guys got rowdy?
Yeah, and it was like literally in between the both of us and like the little back seat back there. And I'm like, I did not picture this day
Is where my night was ending.
ending.
That is insane. I did not know that story.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. That was literally my first session that I shot out at Rocky Mountain National Park. In general, one of the very first sessions I ever shot out here in Colorado. So it really,
That is, you're like, welcome to Colorado.
that bar was set that day.
How can you ever go back there?
Learn my lesson for sure. Anytime I drive around that road.
Yeah.
Is it 30?
You're going 10 under.
It's 36, 34. I never remember.
I never remember either. Yeah.
But yes,
It's
those are all.
dangerous.
Those were true stories. And then, like I said, Alaska was a lie, but hopefully won't be for too long.
I'm going with you.
So let's hear yours.
All right. Here we go. William and I shot 61 weddings this year. I went to a wedding where everyone tried to fight the DJ and throw him in the lake. And I edit all photo and video myself.
Well, I know you do that last one,
I do.
because you're the queen.
Well, I mean, I do the majority.
Well, Will helps you,
Will
but I mean, like you
really-
don't outsource it to
Yeah.
someone else, which is
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. But you know, if
It's all in-house.
it's all in house, and I know I knew that
Will
about you
really
guys.
likes to edit the elopement kind of style videos.
Okay.
So
I could see that.
That's where his jam is.
Yeah.
Everything else is my little fingertips.
Mine are just my stubby fingers. So hold on, let me look at your list, because like I'm already
I
forgetting.
didn't finish typing that one,
But I
you'll just
generally
know.
get the idea. So the 61 weddings, and so the one where you said the DJ, everyone's trying to fight him. I think that's true. I feel like you told me that at some point.
That is true.
So the 61 weddings, that's a lot. If
That
you
is
did
a
do
lot.
that,
I know, right?
you probably
I'd
wouldn't be
dead.
alive. Yeah.
Yeah. I would not be surviving or thriving. I'd be dead.
Opposite of both.
Yeah, the one where everyone tried to fight the DJ, a first in my life. It was a wedding up in Seattle, and the DJ, he was an older gentleman, probably early 60s, late 50s, which I don't know if that is your side job or your full-time job, but he just wasn't on his full game, I'll say. He didn't play any of the up-to-date music. He also gave up on trying to direct the night, which is something that is so helpful and important with your DJ, is keeping things moving so that
Yeah.
people know when to eat, how are they going to get the food? Am I going up to the buffet and being released? Or
like what
is
table?
it coming it to me? Yeah. And he did none of that. So everyone was just all night very frustrated, and you could just feel it in the air that it was increasing. And at some point, the bride's sister went up to the DJ to request a song, and he had had enough of everyone and told her that he was no longer speaking to anyone but the bride's dad.
But, well, I feel like, didn't you say, like, just not even females, just, like, males,
He was just
which is infuriating.
Yeah, he was like, I'm
can't.
no longer willing to speak to women. I'll only speak to your dad.
Oh, my God,
or
no.
something along those lines. I don't remember.
But you were standing right there when he said that?
No,
or,
I
like,
just
you were
heard
told?
it from her dad.
I think, so I would have beelined over to him personally, like, if you fucking think you're going to get away with this, you're insane. Like, you should just be done now. Like, show me how to click play. I'd never know how to DJ, but, like, I would pick it up if I needed to. Yeah.
Little speaker, yeah. It just escalated and escalated, and it got to the point where basically he was trying to, like, hold the groom back. You know, he was trying to rally all his groomsmen to pick him up and toss him into the lake. And at one point, he told everyone to fuck off, that he was turning the music off. It got really heated and intense. But I don't really know how. The bride is the one that actually brought him back down to real life.
Oh, brought the groom back down.
Yeah, and the DJ, and, like, smoothed everything out. And they had, like, a very serious, intense conversation for a few minutes. And he agreed and apologized for how he had been and agreed to stay for another half hour or something like that. And then he was leaving at that point. But Will and I dipped out before any of that happened.
Right out of
we
there.
were like, oh, okay, well, that's where we're done. And we'll be seeing ourselves to the van.
Yeah, I definitely would have. No, I wouldn't have left, but I would have made him leave.
Yeah, that's what I said. And we'll just plug in a friggin' speaker. It was already 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
At this point, by the time everything was drunk and heated.
Oh, gosh, when alcohol's involved. Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like, if something happens to my clients or someone says something to my clients on their wedding day, and I know it's out of line, out of step, I will put them back in their place. That's in a respectful way, of course, but, like, I'm not afraid to tell someone that they're in the wrong.
Yeah.
Especially on a wedding day.
I did try and insert myself in that situation as, like, a sober party to the DJ. And I went up to his booth and was just like, hey, like, here's the situation. And he put his hand up and just stared at me and said, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to her, and pointed to the bride. And I was like, all right, well, you do you, bro. And I'll go over here.
Oh, my God. No.
Yeah. So won't be recommending him to any weddings in Seattle, unfortunately.
You won't be, you mean?
No, I won't.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's off the list. He's off the recommendation list.
That's how you get off the recommendation list.
Yeah, some shady shit like that. Try and fight everyone. Don't coordinate the night.
Well, I did tell you, I know we're veering off a little bit, but it's DJ involved. There was someone who told me recently that she, at her wedding, the DJ was so bad, just played the wrong music, like not even the right song when she was, like, walking down the aisle. Like, you know,
First
major,
dance,
like, you
that.
literally... There's certain moments where, like, you should know what song you're going to play at least. I feel like as a DJ, that's obviously, like, in my mind, that would be, like, really important.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever DJ'd, but in my mind, that would be number one. So got that wrong, just multiple other different things. And basically at the end of the night, it was like, told the bride and her family, whoever, was like, if you leave me a bad review, I'm going to sue you and do all these. Yeah. I was like, well, hopefully you left a bad review, because that's, like, not that doesn't constitute a lawsuit. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing to stand on.
You know, I'm hoping I want to hear better DJ stories. Like, I'm hoping I will hear some good stuff come out of, like, asking for stories about these kinds of things, because, you know, DJs can be great. There's some amazing ones out there who get the party going.
Love those guys.
DJ or bands, but like DJs specifically for this conversation right now. Yeah, don't be an asshole. Really, it's just like the gist. As any type of vendor, not just DJ.
He was something else. Sometimes I see him in my nightmares. He was kind of like, he looked like a hobbit. He was really short. His eyebrows were like 2.5 feet long. That's neither here nor there.
Right. Just adds to the terribleness.
To the vision, yeah. Totally. Well, I think that wraps up everything for today.
It does. It does. I think that we managed to get through and we stayed on track. Good for us, because...
Ting, ting.
Woo! I know. Oh, you finished your drink. I have
did.
like one more sip left. I'm just actually more so afraid of the lemon falling in my face. So
on camera.
You know.
Let's watch it happen.
Just the fruit
I'll put it
falling
in
back.
slow-mo for you guys later.
Yeah, so don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on an episode. You know, if you'd like show notes for today's episode, you can jump on our email list using the link in our description. You will also be the first to know about upcoming episodes, guests, freebies, you know,
Whatever we might offer you.
All the good stuff.
Yeah, you want the inside stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And thanks for tuning in once again. We can't wait for the next episode to come out. We appreciate the support and
Love you long time.
love you long time. Cheers, guys.
Bye.